For those of you joining, it is going to be my 30th birthday. Not today, it is on Friday. So I appreciate you all joining me today to make some cocktails, pop some bottles, and also level up your career. So bear with me because I am gonna try to open this bottle without freaking out. While I do love champagne, the whole popping thing is a bit nerve-wracking for me. So you can stay on with me and stay posted and stay tuned. I'm so scared to do this, I'm sorry. Okay, we ready? Drum roll, please. Here we go. All right, happy 30th birthday. Thank you all for joining me today. And I'm gonna start building the cocktail. Oh my gosh, we almost lost the actual champagne bottle. So for starters, I did cut the recipe in half. So for those of you who are building this cocktail with me, I did cut it in half because it just seemed like a lot for one person. So I'm gonna start with actually 1 cup of pink lemonade. I do have this that I'm actually using instead, which is, it's like a hydration station with Ultima and it's pink lemonade flavored. So I'm just gonna kind of drop that in here just because it's gonna create my pink lemonade. So we're gonna mix this up. It's creating pink lemonade. I'm super excited about it. And like I said, how you feel personally or how you show up professionally is largely dependent on how you feel personally. So I really do try my best to, put good things in my body. So for those of you who are interested on another note, on a personal note, again, this is Ultima. I don't get paid to say this. I just love their flavors. And I also do enjoy Liquid IV as well. I use that for what I call hydration station when I'm feeling dehydrated. And that was today. So I have my 1 cup of pink lemonade well mixed. I'm gonna add half a cup of champagne. This thing is gonna fall. Goodbye. Half a cup of champagne. Okay. I've got 1/4 of a cup of my friend tequila. And again, this is a pink lemonade champagne margarita, so I thought that would be exciting. We're gonna do 1/4 cup of that. And then I opted out of the triple sec just because I don't like extra sweetener in my cocktails, but I am gonna add my real fake lime juice. If I can get it open. I love that it's pink. Fun fact, my favorite color is pink. And so that's pretty much because of the fact that it was pink and I had champagne left over from New Year's Eve. That's why I chose this cocktail. And it's my birthday, so I thought I'd go with something that was my favorite color. So it looks super cute. I'm super excited. Here's my glass. I am actually gonna do this the cheapo way. And I'm just gonna dab some of this and take it across the rim, right? And that just makes it kind of wet. And I'm gonna take another handy dandy paper towel, less dishes, that's my jam. Pour some salt on there. You can choose to do salt or sugar. I prefer salt on everything, especially my margaritas. And I'm just kind of dabbing. I don't know if you can see me, but for those of you who can't, I'm just kind of dabbing it in so I get some salt on the rim. So you can see it's nice and salty and sparkly. And then we are going to go ahead and pour our cocktail. And I'm glad I cut this in half because holy moly, that's a lot of cocktail for one person. But it looks super cute. Okay, and then for those of you who built it with me, cheers. And we're gonna get started. So let me take a sip first and try it, I guess. Ooh, it's actually really good. It's very good. So I'm chewing on on the salt. It's actually really good. I've never had a champagne margarita. So let's get started. Drum roll, please. For what you're actually here for is a good time, not a long time. I'm just kidding. We are going to dive right into the 4 questions we have today for cocktails and careers. So again, cheers to you all, and thank you all for joining me for my 30th birthday. Again, stay tuned to the end of the video or the end of the live. I will be doing some fun giveaways as well as an announcement that you all can take part in to help celebrate my birthday over the next couple of days. So we are going to go over 4 different questions. The first one is, what can I do to keep standing out to my boss? The second one is going to be, how do I earn respect when I feel like I'm being taken advantage of at work? Number 3 is, how do you work with a first-time manager? I've been there, done that, and that is rough, but I do have some tips to make it a bit easier. And then lastly, how do I, myself, Jessie, stay up to date with relevant material to bring you all everything that you need to keep advancing in your career? So before I get started in answering the first question, I do like to preface with the fact that if you have any questions during this time, please go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer along the way or at the end if it's not relevant to what we're talking about, but this is for you to maximize your time here. So I'm really excited that you joined, and hopefully what we chat about is really going to help take your career to the next level within the next month, within the next year, depending on how quickly you can apply some of these things. So let's get started. We're going to start with our first question, which is, what can I do to keep standing out to my boss? I keep looking down because I do have my notes. I do believe in preparation, and so I want this to be as useful to you as possible. So I do prepare before these calls just because I want this to be beneficial to you. So what can I do to keep standing out to my boss? My best advice to you is to continuously show up with an entrepreneurial spirit. And so what do I mean by that? When you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly owning your own position as if it were your business, right? And so if you have not been an entrepreneur or have not dabbled in something, put yourself in a position where you're thinking about something that you really care about, whether it's your house, your car, your pet, your spouse, your significant other, your sister, your brother, your friend. And when you have something that you care about, you're constantly looking for ways to continue either improving it, being a better spouse, making it a better house, improving your car. How can you maximize it? How can you use it more? How can you put it to better use? How can you create a better relationship, a better friendship? How can you be a better friend, right? And so when you're showing up in your position with an entrepreneurial spirit, which is something that has proven to be extremely successful for me, you're going to be doing 3 things, right? You're consistently looking for things to fix or improve. You're looking to be creative or inventive. And then you're always asking questions, right? Because you're wanting to learn more. You genuinely just want to learn more about the position, about the thing you care about most, right? So I'm going to rewind and go back to consistently looking for things to fix or improve. A lot of people will think that these have to be game changers. These have to be massive improvements that are going to impact bottom line, make more revenue, make more money, right? Create a wow factor for somebody. And while that can be true, you can also scale that back to something as small as a spreadsheet that can improve efficiency, that can improve organization, improve timeliness, promptness. And so there's anything from a small spreadsheet that can improve efficiency all the way down to something like taking a look at a process, or a procedure, right? That maybe has been in the works for quite some time, and you've noticed there's kinks and there's ways to make it more efficient, or there's ways to make it easier or more beneficial as a whole for either the department, for yourself, for the company. Anything from small to big, it's just putting on a fresh set of glasses every time you show up to work and saying, what can I make better? What can I improve so that it's going to create an impact, small or large, for myself or those around me, right? And then showcasing what you've done. And I know that a lot of people do not feel comfortable about patting themselves on the back or bragging about what you've done. But this can be as simple as being excited about what you've just implemented or what you've just improved, right? It could be going to your boss and saying, hey, I went ahead and took it upon myself to update this spreadsheet. I think it made it a little bit more efficient for us to track fill in the blank. Would you mind if I took a few minutes just to show you what I've done, right? And this is going to help you not only continuously be in a place where you're standing out, but you're also continuously being in a genuine place where you're showcasing what you're doing instead of allowing it to fall by the wayside or just fall under the radar. The second way that you can continue showing up and being, standing out to your boss is going to be to continue being inventive. A lot of us, when we first get in the role, we automatically notice things we want to do. We have all these goals, we're motivated, we're excited. And then as time goes on in the role and as time goes on in your job or in your career, you get less inventive, you get less creative, you start to coast. And so one of those ways that you can continuously be standing out to your boss so you can continue advancing in your career and making an impact is just, again, putting on that creative hat and continuously being inventive. Looking for ways that you can execute new ideas, even if those ideas don't work, right? Even if those ideas aren't pitched. And the reason I say that is because it's an opportunity for you to at least showcase to your boss that, hey, I'm looking for ways to continuously be creative, to continuously level up my career, level up this department, and level up this company. So one of my favorite things to do, sorry, I have an itch. One of my favorite things to do is to have an idea and then show up in my boss's office when she has some time and say, hey, I was thinking about, fill in the blank, kind of showcase your idea, give a brief little synopsis of, hey, I was thinking about, maybe we could implement this, or maybe we could do this. And then following that up with the question of, what do you think? I wanted to get your feedback. This not only showcases that you're inventive, you're creative, you're trying to continuously level up your career and the department's efficiency, but it also allows you some time to continuously be building relationships with your boss so that you don't get forgotten or you don't get put in the back burner or in the back of their mind, that you're consistently top of mind, right? Because you're consistently having these conversations, showcasing your ideas and asking what they think about them, right? It's creating this dialogue that's naturally going to create a relationship between you and your boss. And then lastly, my biggest piece of advice when it comes to continuously standing out is simply ask questions. Show that you're interested in continuing to learn more. Even if it's a silly question, even if it's a small question, ask the question. A lot of us fear asking questions because we don't want to seem needy, because we don't want to seem dumb. We don't want to seem like it's a stupid question and maybe we should know that already. But so many times we are not invested in if we don't allow people to invest in us, right? If we don't ask the questions, if we don't create that dialogue, if we don't continue showcasing to our boss, hey, I'm interested in still learning. I'm still here. I'm still here and I'm still wanting to advance. Because again, a lot of us get into a role right in the beginning and we're motivated, we're excited, we're asking questions, we're implementing ideas, we're finding different ways that we can improve and make the department or make ourselves better. And then all of a sudden we're 3 months in, we pass our 90 days and we start to coast, right? And so it's just keeping that momentum of continuously being able to stand out by doing those three things, consistently looking for ways to improve either yourself or the department and bringing that up to your boss. It's being creative and being inventive and then showcasing those ideas to your boss and asking them to give you their feedback. Hey, do you think this is a good idea? And then asking questions and continuously showing that you're interested in learning more. So that's what I have for that first question. I'm going to take a sip before we go on to the second question. Still good. All right. So for our second question, and again, just a reminder for you, if you do want to ask questions while we're here, please go for it. Happy to answer them as they come in or also answer them at the end. Especially if I say something and you want me to clarify something, I'm happy to do that as well. So for our second question, it's going to be, how do I earn respect in a place where I feel like I'm being taken advantage of? And my biggest piece of advice for you there is going to be to set boundaries. And I know everyone likes to throw this out as like a hoopla, and everyone likes to say, learn how to set boundaries, learn how to say no. And the reality of that is it's very hard for a lot of us to start saying no once we've already said yes to 1,000 things. And now we feel like we're being overused or overworked or taken advantage of. And so a lot of people get scared of setting boundaries or saying no because they imagine this being a sit down conversation with their boss and, you know, laying out the land and laying out the rule book and saying, I'm no longer going to be doing this. And the reality of that is that's just not the case. Some of these boundaries can be set just by slowly adjusting your behavior, right? And communicating. A lot of people get scared that once you say yes to something, you can never say no. A lot of times it's just communicating. It's saying, you know, hey, I know I did this for you last time and I was able to push it out, but right now I'm really busy. I can't get it back to you until next week. Is that going to work for you? Right? And it's just creating that dialogue and slowly adjusting your behaviors so that you can start saying no and start putting boundaries and start limiting how often you show up. And I know that there's a fine line between becoming apathetic and no longer wanting to do your job because you're overworked or you're exhausted or you've created resentment for the place that you've now called your workplace or called your home when it comes to work. But it's important for you, and I did a post, and if you haven't seen it, scroll through my news feed, and I talk all about how can you set boundaries for yourself personally and professionally. And really, it's just taking a look at, you know, what can you control within a situation? And a lot of times we feel like if we've said yes to something before, we automatically have to say yes to it again because we've set a precedent. And the reality of that is you just have to communicate. You just have to communicate that while you did it before, you're not able to do it this time. Or while you did it before and you were able to turn it around in a day's notice, you have a lot more on your plate right now and you're happy to help, but you need a week to be able to turn it around. And it's having that dialogue and creating that communication so you're not feeling like you're overcommitting yourself. A lot of us who are driven and excited, and I just had this conversation with somebody today, you know, we have a big capacity to carry a lot. And while we can say yes to everything, and if we organize ourselves well enough, we can accomplish everything that we're saying yes to, just because we can do it doesn't mean it's beneficial. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you're not going to burn out. You're not going to tire out. You're not going to start feeling resentment. So for those things that you know that automatically are being asked of you and you're saying, I don't know if I feel comfortable about this, it's communicating those boundaries and saying, again, you know, if you don't want to do it, it's expressing tactfully why you don't want to partake in that. Maybe it's that, hey, the last time I did this, I really struggled, and maybe there's somebody better that can help you. Hey, have you tapped into so-and-so? Have you reached out to, you know, this department? They might be better to help you out. If it's, you know, the last time you were asked to work a weekend or work a night shift and it was your brother's birthday or your fiance's birthday or your dog's birthday or some exciting event and you feel resentment, communicate those things early and say, hey, I would love to help, but that's a really important day to me. Have that dialogue, right? Unless you ask the question or unless you communicate what you need, the answer is always going to be no. And there's polite and tactful and respectful ways to do that. And that goes back to just establishing those relationships and building those relationships with your boss. If you are not sure how to build those relationships or you have an intimidating boss, I did speak about this in another live with Cocktails and Careers, where how do you create that relationship with your boss when you are scared of them or they're intimidating? And it really just goes back to figuring out something that is meaningful for them. Everyone has something that either, you know, taps into their ego, or everyone has something that is important to them. And then just understanding that, being able to connect with them, build that relationship, and then have that dialogue so that you can continue building respect back up and not feeling overused, overworked, or overwhelmed. Okay, that was our second question for today. Our third question is going to be, how do you work with a first-time manager? I've been there, I've done that, and while it can be difficult at times, there are ways to work around this. Typically, first-time managers are also trying to prove themselves. They're wanting to create an atmosphere where people respect them. They're wanting to create an atmosphere where they feel that people trust them to lead them, to manage them. And sometimes that can become an interesting environment while you have someone trying to prove themselves and also lead you and manage you. Especially if they can be around your same age. So one of the best ways, I have a few tips for you if you are dealing with a first-time manager. I'm going to really encourage you to leverage observe and learn, right? Observe and learn, and take some time to respect what was there before you, right? So when you have a manager who is a first-time manager, again, they're trying to prove themselves and they're trying to prove the fact that they're worth managing you. They're capable of leading you. And so while that can sometimes create an uncomfortable environment because you're all learning at the same time, because that's the reality of it, taking some time to respect what was there before you, observe and learn, and just kind of take some time to sit back and watch how he or she does things, and understanding their personality, taking time to connect with them, build a relationship with them. And that's going to take you far when trying to work with someone who is a first-time manager, right? Secondly, the other thing that I would really, really encourage you to do is to add words like work with you, or team, or we're a team, or teamwork to your vocabulary when you're working with people like this. This starts to build a relationship and an atmosphere where you are working with them instead of for them, right? And so that again creates and establishes that relationship that you can continue to build upon, because as you're working with them and you're a team, you're going to start being able to foster that relationship and add your own opinions and opportunities and things that you want to implement, and bring those ideas to the table without he or she feeling threatened. Remember, as a first-time manager, again, you're trying to prove yourself. And so there's some grace we have to give to those first-time managers who may have a little bit of that imposter syndrome, who are wanting to prove themselves and showcase and prove that they can lead you, but they may not themselves believe that. So that, again, might create an uncomfortable situation and an uncomfortable environment. But if you can showcase and you can show them that you're excited to build a relationship with them, you're excited also to work with them, that you're a team, and then you're here to support her or him, that's going to go a long way for you, and they're going to start trusting and opening up and allowing you to implement and showcase your own ideas. Now, furthermore, sometimes with a new manager, clear direction lacks as well. So they're not really sure how to give direction. They're not really sure how to establish that, how to establish clear roles. And so if you're having that confusion where you're lacking clear direction, I would just encourage you to politely ask him or her to explain expectations, right? And you can go about this by saying this in a way of, I really want to be able to take initiative and alleviate work off of your plate so I can perform best for you and the team. Can you give me an idea of what your expectations are for me? And then allow them to speak to them, right? Allow them to tell you, hey, this is what I expect of you. This is what I envision your role being, right? Another great way, and one of my favorite things to say, is if you're lacking clear direction, to go about it and say, what would you like me to own in this project? And would you like me to own it moving forward? This again is going to help you help them start creating clearly defined roles for you. That way you understand what's expected of you. And again, you're creating that dialogue and you're almost helping them through managing you and better managing you, which is going to allow you both to have a more successful and positive work environment. So again, what to do with a first-time manager: observe and learn, use words like work with you, we're a team, teamwork, build a relationship where they feel comfortable and confident allowing you to speak in your ideas from your own experience without feeling threatened. And then you can also ask for clear direction if that's something that you're lacking. Ask clear direction, and you can use the script that I just offered you a few minutes back. And that's really going to help you out with a first-time manager, because again, it's important for us to understand that while while we are frustrated, they're also suffering through a little bit of, hi Sabrina, a little bit of, imposter syndrome where, they want to lead you. They want to prove that they have the skill set to do that. And they're not sure exactly how to, and they're learning while you're learning. So it's really just making sure that you're creating an environment where it's teamwork first and foremost, and you're here to support them, and just continuously articulating that in your words, your actions, and your attitudes towards them. Okay, lastly on the list, cheers to the last question. How do I stay up to date? Myself, Jessie Wilkie. How do I stay up to date with relevant material for you? Aside from my personal experience and still being in the world of human resources, still being in corporate USA, and just watching the trends of what's going on in the hiring market and in the workplace, I also utilize a few different platforms or sources, if you will. I was about to say I need to see that pink margarita. It's here. Isn't it cute? I'm so excited. I even put salt on the rim. Cheers. Sabrina, there it is. It's so pink and it's so cute. So I'm sorry. Squirrel, how do I stay up to date? Aside from my personal experience, it's also just LinkedIn and LinkedIn articles. I also stay up to date with a source called HR Drive. I signed up for their newsletter. You can subscribe to their email list. That's something that they push out either weekly or daily. I'm not exactly sure because I don't really pay attention how often they send it out. I almost want to say it's daily, and daily you just get updates as to what's happening in HR, in the workplace, and that environment. Also, Forbes Daily Dozen. Forbes Daily Dozen is not specifically geared towards HR professionals, but it does talk about top 12 things that are going on in the market or in the world right now, and a lot of that contributes to the way the job market works. So I do encourage you to, again, that's an email list. Anyone can sign up for it. It's called the Forbes Daily Dozen, and you can get those emails to your inbox as well. And those are just really my top 3 that I really focus on in regards to platforms that I use. So again, LinkedIn, HR Drive, and Forbes Daily Dozen. You can sign up for those email lists, or you can stay tuned to me and I read them for you, and I bring you all of that exciting information so that you can go ahead and use that to maximize and capitalize on the job market that we have right now, which is of course still, as I always preach, an applicant's market, and it's in your favor. So with all that said, that is the end of our 4 questions today. So if you've been looking to work with me, thinking about working with me on any of my services, again, this is resumes, interview preps, LinkedIn profile writers, the works, career advising programs. I really hope that today was helpful for you in all the questions that we went through. And then keep coming back to Cocktails and Careers. Share all this with your friends. Invite more to Cocktails and Careers. This will happen once a month. And again, be reposted on behind the scenes of your careers, my new YouTube channel. And I do have one more training coming up this month. So stay tuned for that and mark your calendars for that. We're going to be talking about how to know when it's time to leave your job, which is the golden question for most of us. Do I stick it out? Do I stay or do I go? I don't think those are the lyrics, but it's close enough. Thank you, and cheers to you all. Have an awesome night. Thank you for joining me today. Cheers.